Hello and welcome back to my channel. So, a few things. First of all, I know the webcam is like not the best, but you'll get why I'm here in a second. Second thing, hello? Don't talk about it. I know. My period's coming. Happy New Year. Happy 2024. This should be the first video of the new year. It might not be if another video goes up first because I've had a video in copyright jail for copyright prison. At this point, it should qualify as copyright prison because it's been there for weeks. And it's not going well. So I'm really happy about that. Unless that, fixes itself, this is the first video of 2024. And I'm so very glad because I've been working on some stuff for a while. And I know that the last quarter of last year, I kind of fizzled out. I burned the out and I got really busy and not very mentally healthy. But I have been getting better and I've been working on some stuff for a while and I finally have something completed. I've been just like working on a bunch of different things, but I finally have something completed to show you guys. So, without further ado, today I present to you Nissan v. Nissan. Can the little guy ever really win? One of the most infamous cases of domain and trademark law, and a prime example of how the little guy seemingly just can't win, even when he does, especially in the capitalist hellscape we've created for ourselves here in the US. But before we can get too deep into how a major motor company ruined a guy's life, in my opinion, allegedly, hypothetically, that's what the streets are saying. I don't know, don't sue me too. We need a little bit of background. But first, we also do need to hear from our sponsor. So if you're either a frequent viewer, a casual viewer, or maybe you've just seen my thumbnails a few times, then you probably know my hair has been through a lot. I'm constantly dyeing it and cutting it and bleaching it, but a couple of months ago, a vision came to me of me in several years where I've stopped cutting and bleaching and dyeing my hair, and I have my all natural dark brown hair back, and that is down to the waist. And I am manifesting that destiny, which is why I am so excited to talk about today's sponsor, MD Hair. MD Hair specializes in hair growth and preventing hair loss with their 4-layer regrowth technology that contains FDA-approved medications and dermatologist-formulated botanicals and nutraceuticals. To break that down, what MD Hair actually does is it starts by giving you a quiz that tells them a mix of your health info, as well as what your hair texture is, what your hair goals are, etc. There is also a scalp analysis at the end of the quiz where you actually take a picture of your scalp to send to MD Hair for them to actually get a look at it before formulating your kit. So then MD Hair takes that information and puts together a kit for you that contains products tailored to your specific hair and hair goals. You see what you're getting before you even have to commit to a kit. That way you can see all of the ingredients as well as how they have customized your kit. In my kit, I received 5 products designed to help with the restoration of my hair. Almost all of which of these items are vegan and cruelty-free, with the shampoo, conditioner, and serum also being sulfate and paraben-free. I got the Restore shampoo, which is a bond-building shampoo for frizzy and damaged hair, and the conditioner, which helps dry, frizzy, and damaged hair. Okay, call out. I also got the dermatologist formulated Restore hair care serum, which is powered by DHT blockers to stimulate the hair follicles for stronger, thicker hair. And I even got a hair wellness supplement as an extra boost of nutrients needed for hair growth, and a supply of marine collagen for that extra hair, skin, nail, and joint support. I can't actually use the collagen because I am vegan and it contains fish, but my girlfriend has been using it and liking it, and here is her trying it for the first time.
I can't taste it at all.
Well, that's good. It's supposed to be flavorless.
Yeah, and it's not textureless. I mean, it's not,
Textured?
yeah, it doesn't have like a viscosity.
Oh, that's good. I was kind of worried about
It's
that.
just my teeth.
Well, sick. The full effect of these products becomes more apparent the longer you use them, so there hasn't been like this drastic change to my hair. But I've been using these products for a few weeks now, and honestly, I do think that there's been a difference in the actual feeling of my hair and how much hair falls out. And I don't know, I do just think appearance-wise, it looks healthier than previous times after I have bleached my hair. So if you're interested, then you can customize your hair growth treatment with MD Hair. Use my promo code GRAYSONS70, that is GRAYSONS70, to get your first month of customized products at 70% off. Thank you again to MD Hair for sponsoring this video, and now let's watch the movie. So, let's get our background, and let's rewind 40 years and $3 million. The year is 1980. Enter Uzi Nissan. Hold on. Now I'm over here. We're evolving, and it's okay. Enter Uzi Nissan. Immigrated from occupied Palestinian territory at 29 years old in 1980 and began working at an auto shop to support himself. I don't know how long this video is going to be, by the way, but I think it's going to be a little bit long. And we're going to know Mr. Uzi Nissan a little bit personally. And actually, our first clue into Uzi's mind and personality come shortly after moving to the US. Like very shortly after, in fact, because just a few weeks after immigrating and working at the auto shop, he opened his very own business. Uzi, which is how I'm going to be referring to him so there's not confusion between Uzi Nissan and Nissan Motor Company. Uzi took his mechanical skills and started his first of 3 businesses. And you might see where this is going and what might happen when a man named Uzi Nissan starts 3 businesses. Uzi's businesses took on his own last name and like incorporated it in the name in some way. His last name being Nissan, which is where the trouble begins. Enter player number 2, the Nissan Motor Company. Wow, laggy slide. The Nissan Motor Company is a Japan-based automobile manufacturer and seller. Fun fact, the company Nissan's full name is actually Nihon Sangyo, and Nissan is just the combination of some syllables of those words. Nihon Sangyo, Nissan. But the name Nissan was adopted in the 1930s. However, shortly after 1930s is the start of World War II, which inspires a whole lot of anti-Japanese sentiments all around the world. This means that when they expanded into the worldwide market, they chose to identify their vehicles under a different name, that name being Datsun. And they were releasing vehicles under this name up until 1985, when they began to release cars under the name Nissan. In case you missed that, Nissan Motor Company didn't even have a single car branded with the name Nissan until the mid-1980s. So now that I've laid out some background, let's get into how this even really began. Like I mentioned earlier, Uzi used his last name, Nissan, for all 3 of his businesses. It began with auto repair. He fixed foreign and domestic cars under Nissan Automotive Repairs. And then with the advent of the internet, he got into the wholesale of computer parts to local businesses. However, when nobody bought from him, he decided to compete with them instead, yet another look into Nissan's headstrong and competitive behavior. Finally, he began Nissan Computer in the early 90s. This is the business that Uzi was running when he decided, as a business owner might, that he should probably set up a website now that there's this new thing called the internet that people are checking out. He might want people to find him. But here's the thing. It's 1994, 2 years before Microsoft's Internet Explorer and 10 years before Firefox, who is seemingly always behind. There are some estimates that at this time, there were only 10,000 websites, like, period. And I know that 10,000 is a big number, but think about the internet. And then think about there only being 10,000 websites ever. The internet was not like a normal, I guess that's a weird way to word it, but it wasn't it was so new that it was like seen as ahead of his time to set up a website. And Uzi actually once said that people called him silly for wanting to set up a website because people thought that the internet was just like a fad and that it was going to fizzle away, or that it wasn't going to become like what it is now, you know, where I'm relying on it for a living. So anyways, the name that Uzi chose for his domain was the same one that he had been using for his businesses for over a decade. His last name, Nissan. So in the year 1994, he registered the domain name Nissan.com. However, it wouldn't be until 1999 that Uzi would receive the voicemail that began the downfall of the rest of his life. This voicemail came from Merrill Davis, the corporate manager of Nissan North America's e-business strategy. I wish I could find the original transcript of this message because I would love an original source document, but I searched and could not find it. So I have no idea really what Davis offered Uzi on that voicemail. But I guess it doesn't really matter because Uzi's answer was no. Flat out, not for sale, ever no. But of course, salesman being salesman, Davis talked Uzi into having a sit-down meeting to discuss it. Uzi has maintained that he gave no offer at all on the domain name and had the meeting out of obligation to at least say no to their face. However, as you might expect, the Nissan businessman wouldn't exactly take no for an answer. The way Uzi puts it is that Davis began badgering him, pestering him, trying several figures to get Uzi to hand over the domain name Nissan.com. I don't know those numbers. I wish I did, but if you know, you know, I guess. In the end, here's what happens. Uzi, in what is assumably extreme frustration, says $15 million. Do you get it? I'm not selling. Basically saying that it would have to be some crazy number for him to ever sell them the website. Davis, apparently, allegedly, calmly nods his head and excuses himself to make a call to the Nissan Motor Company. Davis walks out of the room, and before he can even get back in, Uzi is receiving an incoming fax. You are being sued by the Nissan Motor Company for $10 million. Okay, at this point, I need to take a little pause and introduce and break down some legal jargon. I will try to make it fast and simple and clear because this is important and you will need it. So, Nissan Motor Company comes at Uzi Nissan with 3 main charges. First being trademark infringement. Second being trademark dilution, and the third being cyber squatting, a fun term I learned for this video. Can you believe I did? I knew of the concept of it, I just didn't realize that there was a term for it. But to get the boring ones out of the way first, trademark dilution and infringement are almost the same thing. So infringement is the unauthorized use of a trademark or service mark, which means someone intentionally stealing your specific name or symbol. To claim this, a company needs to prove that 1, it has a valid and legally protectable mark. 2, it owns that mark. And 3, the other person's use of said mark is likely to cause confusion. Knockoffs, right? Not like dupes, like straight up knockoff type stuff. Trademark dilution is the use of a trademark similar enough to a famous mark that it confuses the public or diminishes the famous mark's public perception. Basically, your thing is too much like my thing, and my thing is the thing. It's supposed to be special. The final charge is cyber squatting. Apparently, I was living under a rock, and this is probably going to be more familiar to some people. You've probably seen an example of cyber squatting. I'm sure the most simple, tame version, I guess, is people that sit on Instagram or TikTok or Twitter handles, without ever really posting on the account, but they just are holding that username because they like it and don't want someone else to have it, even though they're not using it. And not everyone does it. Sometimes someone just hasn't posted on their Instagram since 2013 and they've just locked out of that account and moved on. But it's become more and more common for cyber squatting to be an intentional thing where people will hold on to usernames and then sell them to people, like celebrities and stuff. So that's what cyber squatting is, except in this case, it's focused on website domain name instead of Instagram handle, because again, it's 1999. And fun fact, 1999 was the very first year where there was any legal process to claim a squatted site. The next important thing for us to understand before we actually get into the courtroom is Nissan.com, which again, Nissan.com owned by Uzi Nissan, not Nissan Motor Company. Although looking at it, you can probably tell that this is not owned by Nissan Motor Company. Let's take a little stroll through Uzi's website to get a feel of what it's all about. So here's the home page. Almost everything here is clickable. So let's look at some people's opinions. People's positive opinions on Uzi Nissan. Well, not all positive, but positive opinions. Or what if we go to public citizen, sorry. This links to the website of a legal firm. I'm pretty sure it's the one that represented Uzi. Next up, Vipoland.com. It's a kids animated entertainment site. Okay, so then what about these big anti-Nissan symbols here? Because you can click these. That redirects us to this website, digest.com, another website run by Uzi Nissan. This website is almost a shrine to the legal case. It has Uzi's story and background on his business and court struggles. It also has a full timeline of the court case, a way to contact representatives, and a place to donate to the cause. The landing page ends with a powerful statement and call to action. As for the rest of his original site, there are links to his business services, information, and at the very bottom you can find local resources, local being North Carolina, national resources, and global resources attached to the case. And yes, they even sold bumper stickers. So like I said, this case was a little bit of a big deal. One of the very first major domain disputes of the budding internet world as we know it. So now that you have all of the background context and information surrounding it, let's jump into this legal battle. You're already familiar with the first event on the timeline, which is the voicemail. This voicemail containing the initial 3 charges. This was December 1999. Next came the first round of summary judgments. A summary judgment happens without trial or jury. This happens when there aren't enough grounds for trial or no genuine dispute of material fact. This happened in April of 2002, and the courts ruled in favor of Uzi on the cybersquatting and non-auto related infringement. They were in favor of Nissan Motor Company on auto-related infringement. The dilution charge was sent to trial, which we will address in a second. But I want to talk about the summary judgments first. Obviously, the cybersquatting charge was bogus. Uzi clearly didn't have any ulterior motives in registering the domain that he had operated his businesses under for over a decade and never tried to get anything from Nissan Motor Company before. And the computer services on the site were clear enough that there was no risk of confusing customers, so not infringement. The advertisements on his website, however, that linked to different auto sales sites did count as infringement under the Nissan name, because the name Nissan and the word cars is enough to confuse or divert customers. On his website, digest.com, Uzi says, and I quote, "Nissan Motors' intention to make this case as expensive as possible for me was evident from the beginning. The notion that my company and me might be forced into bankruptcy rather than fight for my name must have been taken into consideration. As if the financial burden incurred by me and Nissan Computers wasn't enough, the company also filed a lawsuit against the Internet Center Incorporated." End quote. The Internet Center Inc. is another one of Uzi's businesses, and they have a whopping 3 shareholders, one of which being Uzi, and they don't use the word Nissan in any way. So now they're coming after another one of this guy's businesses, and I'm not saying that like some scare tactics and bullying are happening, because I'm maybe also scared of being sued by Nissan, so like maybe this is all hypothetical and alleged and stuff. But if it was my personal opinion, definitely some bullying, definitely some scare tactics going on. But back to the timeline and moving into that dilution trial I mentioned, it's now September of 2002. This is actually another round of summary judgments because Nissan Motor got the judge to issue it just because, I guess, instead of the trial. Almost as if they're scared of going to trial. That'd be weird. I wonder why. This judgment was all about dilution or similarity. On this issue, the judge did unfortunately side with Nissan Motor Company. The judge agreed that number 1, Nissan was famous by 1994. Number 2, that Nissan Computer was similar enough to dilute the specialness of the name. And 3, that the publicated negative speech about Nissan Motor tainted his trademark. There are a few things in here that should be setting off some alarm bells with the background we know, but don't worry, we will get into it. The final judgment was issued in December of 2002 and ruled that Uzi could keep his website domains, but he couldn't post any commercial content related to auto sales or link to auto-related websites. They also couldn't post or link to any negative comments about Nissan Motors. Side I seems a little unconstitutional. Uzi and his lawyers didn't really like this judgment, so they appealed, and unsurprisingly, Nissan Motor Company also appealed because they want those domain names and they are not letting it go. October of 2003, Nissan Computer filed its appeal, and in January of 2004, Nissan Motor Company filed a counter appeal. Uzi argues that Nissan Motors was not in fact probably famous by 1994 and that banning them from posting or linking to negative comments about Nissan was a violation of the First Amendment. Nissan Motor argued that any use of Nissan is infringement and that Uzi should be forced to hand over the domains. Right. Well, the ruling on those appeals comes August of 2004. The appeal goes almost entirely Uzi's way. They agree that his right to free speech was in fact violated, and that Nissan Motor Company wasn't famous enough or distinct enough to be diluted by Nissan Computer. I'm glad some people with a little bit more brain power up here finally stepped in, because like, yeah, obviously you can't ban someone from having a bad opinion about a company just because that company's feelings are hurt. There also wasn't a single reliable source for the fame of Nissan Motor Company. And also, Nissan, like the word Nissan, is actually a common Jewish surname, a biblical and Arabic term, and it was used in 190 different businesses at the time of the appeal. Basically, they did this so that the React bros, the Fine bros, could run when they, because this is what that is. Like, they're saying they own the word Nissan. Just to reiterate and like punch in on the point, this is not about trademark infringement, despite Nissan's claims. Like, that's just legally what they could claim. This was about the website name. This was about Nissan.com. because 190 businesses used the word Nissan. None of them got sued. One person owned Nissan.com, and that was Uzi Nissan, and that's why this happened. But you don't own the word Nissan, and you're not getting this guy's domain. So what does Nissan do after this ruling? Oh, just try to petition the US Supreme Court in December of 2004. April 2005, the Supreme Court says, no, this is not our problem. We're not getting involved in this. So the issue gets sent back to trial and re-ruled. Again, though, Nissan Motor Company tried and succeeded in avoiding a jury trial. The September 2007 ruling was again in Uzi's favor. They decided that actually Nissan Computer was not diluting Nissan Motor Company's trademarks. As it would turn out, you would actually need your business diluted to qualify for trademark dilution. Nissan Motor couldn't prove a single bit of damage was done to their company by Uzi and Nissan Computer. This ruling also once again denied Nissan Motors the rights to the domain names. Which, let's be honest, that's what this whole thing was really about. They weren't actually worried about their trademark. They want this website. That's all it is. Nissan Motor Company really wanted the names Nissan.com and Nissan.net, and they tried just about every legal avenue to bully or force a small business owner into giving them up. And just to drive home how actually ridiculous and unserious Nissan Motor Company was being, after losing a lawsuit that they started, they still tried to ask the courts to award them millions in attorney fees. Obviously, the courts didn't give them anything. Instead, they actually ruled that Nissan owed Uzi's attorney fees. Unfortunately, Uzi only ended up receiving $58,000, which that is like base level, like a lot of money, right? $58,000. I'm not rolling my eyes, but that actually only amounted to 2% of how much it cost him to defend this 8-year-long, $3 million case. This case is wild. It is known not as like a law-defining battle, but a law-making one. I mean, Nissan even knew about the websites in 1994, but they didn't take any action until 1999 because they didn't take the internet seriously enough. Funny. This case was right on the edge of the digital boom, and it landed on the side of little guy, the independent and the individual. And that should be awesome. We should be prioritizing the protection of people just trying to live their lives over the profits of businesses, and especially like mega corporations like Nissan Motor Company. I did just bang my finger on my desk. Even when the courts ruled in Uzi's favor at every single turn, Nissan's refusal to let it go and their ability to spend millions in court still ruined Uzi's life. This could have been and should have been a heartwarming story of how the little guy actually can win sometimes. And instead, it is an example of the realities of late-stage capitalism. That's right, you thought you were escaping the anti-capitalist talk. You were wrong. A large corporation using their comparatively infinite resources to legally and financially bully a man because he had something they wanted. And even with the law's protection, Uzi lost his business along with millions of dollars. And his home life never recovered. It is depressing. Uzi tells his story with a very practiced paced way, no doubt from like years of having to do it in court, and he is still hesitant to share the details of just how heavy the toll was on his personal life. What he has been willing to share is this. He says, quote, "I would have let it go first thing if I knew what I would have to go through and what it would do to me and my family. I was driven 99.9% out of business. Court proceedings were every week. I had to read hundreds of pages of proceeding and make sure they're correct. And then you don't have time for anything else." End quote. It sounds to me like he got so wrapped up in this case that he lost the ability to care for and maintain the rest of his life. But this wasn't exactly a prison of his own design. In fact, Uzi hadn't done anything really at all. It was Nissan Motor who saw something that they wanted and fought any way they could to get it, even when it didn't belong to them. Uzi Nissan had been using his name for over a decade, and he registered and used his domains with his name in them fairly. Why should he need to give it up? Give me what belongs to you or I'll ruin your life isn't really a fair deal at all. So I don't blame Uzi for not letting it go, even though it probably would have been more beneficial, definitely would have been more beneficial if he had. That doesn't mean I think he should have. But we are in capitalist America where big businesses and money make the world go around. So here, even when you're 100% right and backed by the law, you still lose. Uzi himself put it best. I didn't win the case. Nissan Motor lost. It isn't a matter of prevailing. It is about what you're going to have to go through and how much you will lose until the end of the case. Companies can sue you no matter what. What's another $10 million to Nissan? Nothing. A drop in the bucket. What will it do to the little guy? They'll ruin his life. And that would have been the perfect, slightly depressing mic drop to this video. If it were over. But surprise, the story continues, and with a shocking twist. A cliffhanger ending. So let's enter the final segment of this video, shall we? Where are they now? Nissan's doing just fine. Their net income in the year 2022 was 106.9 billion yen, which is roughly 760 US dollars. And they sold 730,000 vehicles. Oh my God. As for Uzi Nissan, he actually died. I wanted to name this video The Time Nissan Motor Company Ruined a Man's Life and Then He Died. But then I was like, I don't know, that sounds too pointed. And like, I also don't want to get into a $3 million lawsuit with Nissan. So yes, sadly, Uzi Nissan did actually pass away in 2020 due to COVID complications. And he maintained and ran his websites all the way up until his passing in June. So what about that website now? Oh, well, you know, it was just mysteriously taken down 2 years after Uzi's death. And there's now a lawsuit because his estate says that someone stole it, but they don't know who. The most recent development in this story is a lawsuit against a mysterious John Doe for stealing Nissan.com. According to court documents, the estate of Uzi Nissan believes that someone illegally transferred the domain from the account of Uzi Nissan to another account. As of right now, there's not a lot of development about why the domain was stolen, who stole it, but there's been some chatter among those familiar with this case that it was likely, allegedly, someone who is hoping to make money selling to Nissan, or even spicier, that Nissan Motor Company maybe even reached out to someone on the inside with an offer they couldn't refuse. So yeah, that's how Nissan Motor Company ruined a guy's life until he died. Asterix, he died unrelatedly. Well, there you have it. The complete story of Nissan v. Nissan. How a company destroyed a man over a domain name. Did you like this video? I hope you liked this video. I hope you liked it. I hope you liked the format. A little different. Random topic, but I was really interested in this. I saw like a very vague thing about it on like a TikTok that was just screenshots from Reddit, because I don't use Reddit, but like I do consume Reddit, just not through Reddit, because I think that's embarrassing, but also like I'm ultimately still consuming Reddit, and also it's only embarrassing if I make it embarrassing. Guys, I'm a Redditor. Anyway, yeah, I heard about this a while ago and I was very intrigued, and this took a while, but so I hope you liked it. And if you heard that, it was my chair making that fart noise, not my butthole. I don't have a butthole, actually. So thank you for watching this video. And if you like this video, give it a like. Let me know what you thought about it. Let me know anything. I don't know. Let me know your fucking phone number. I'm sorry. I'm kidding. I don't know why I'm being weird. Okay, I'm gonna go. Thank you for watching this video. If you did like it, you know, please give it a like and like let me know how you thought about it. And I will catch you in the next fun, random, cool, super interesting, neat video. Bye. I'm leaving. Bye.